Hello and welcome to Unacademy. The prelims is over. Now, whether to prepare for the mains examination or not is mainly decided by the candidates depending upon what their marks is in the prelims examination. But here, I stand in front of you to argue that regardless of whether you are clearing the cutoff or whether you are on the other side of it, preparation for the mains examination has to begin today. Enough time has been spent now analyzing the prelims, venting out anger against UPSC, so on and so forth. But I always tell the candidates that remember why you entered into this area: to become an IAS officer, to get into the services. So that dream remains constant. So that dream can never be achieved if we are not well versed with the mains preparation. In this video, we are going to target everything associated with the mains examination. This is going to be a one-stop solution for everyone regarding how to initiate the preparation for the mains, when to initiate the preparation for the mains, how to go about answer writing, importance of note making, how to create that notes, the PYQ analysis, the schedule to follow if you are appearing for the mains examination this year or if we are appearing for the mains examination next year. So for those of you preparing for the exam next year and even beyond, this video is also important. The importance of essay and the test series as well is something that we are going to discuss. Now here, before initiating all these discussions, let me tell you one thing. This video, it might appear to be something where if you are not clearing the prelims, you think it is futile, it is worthless. But please keep in mind one thing, that from the prelims examination to the mains examination, if you follow the 2026 calendar or if you follow the 2027 UPSC calendar, you have roughly around 80 days, 80 to 85 days with you. Now, in these 80 to 85 days, you have to conquer the mains examination. That is why, for those of us who have already cleared the cutoff or we are clearing the cutoff, it is important to utilize these 80 to 85 days that are in our hands. And those of us who are preparing for next year and beyond, please understand that if you are only preparing for prelims, only preparing for facts, then these 80 to 85 days will be absolutely insufficient for you to clear the mains exam. I'm not going to say impossible, but very, very difficult. Even if somehow you manage to clear the mains examination, your marks will be so low that interview will eliminate you. That is why, whichever stage of preparation we are in, let's suppose we have appeared for the prelims, let's suppose we are not clearing the cutoff, we have to appear for the exams again. Think about it, that you have to presume you are appearing for the mains exam this year itself and accordingly frame your strategy so that, and why do I say so? Listen to me carefully here. Mains is the main deciding factor which will decide your rank, your cadre, and so on, your services as well. Now, prelims is a matter of chance. If you prepare well, if not this year, next year you will clear the prelims. If you have prepared enough for mains examination, then prelims, if you clear it once, you will secure good rank. You will have endless number of examples of candidates who have failed prelims 3 times, the fourth time they have secured a rank. It cannot be the case that after 3 attempts I have cleared the prelims, now I will fail in mains for the 4 attempts again. No. So that is why ensure the sharpened preparation now itself. So that is why it is very important to prepare for the mains exam now. Now, most of us, when we talk about the mains examination, we do not know the importance of it and why to start now. So in front of you in the screen is the cutoff for the mains examination for 2025. Let's presume the mains cutoff for the general candidates. It was around 739. Now, mind you, just securing 739 does not mean you will get a good rank. If interview goes bad, you won't find your name in the merit list also. So you have to prepare for the prelims again next year. You again have to go through that patch. Maybe you will clear, maybe you won't clear, and again move ahead. So ideally, what do you want? A buffer. a buffer of at least 12 marks. Now, in the mains exam, you have 7 papers which are evaluated, on the basis of which you are given rank. 4 of them are your GS papers, GS paper 1 to GS paper 4. Then, one is essay paper. Now, we'll talk about the importance of essay as well. And then 2 is optional paper, right? So, in total, you have 7 papers which are evaluated and the marks are counted for the mains. Now, apply simple arithmetic. Let's suppose in all these papers, if you have prepared from now itself, now in all these papers, if you secure just 2 to 3 marks extra, let's assume you have secured around 2.5 to 3 marks extra in each of these papers as compared to your competition. So in total, you are going to secure how much? You are going to secure 21 extra marks. Now, this is very much doable. Think about it. 3 marks per paper you are able to secure because there are 20 questions. I am saying cumulatively in those 20 questions, you are able to secure 3 marks extra. 21 extra marks in the paper will give you a rank somewhere around 200 to 300 range. Then, if let's suppose by some chance we are able to improve our marks per paper by 4 marks, we will be in the range of top 200 rank. So this is the battle of the margin, and this is the minute margin that you have to play with, right? Every mark counts. That is why every day is important. Okay, we have understood that mains preparation has to be done. It is very, very important. But then how do we start the preparation for the mains? We have been studying the facts, we have been studying Lakshmikant, the NCRTs. Now, how do I start the mains preparation? So, mains preparation broadly has to be classified into your GS preparation and the preparation for your optional. Now, both of them have to be given equal amount of weightage, because optional, as well as when we talk about, let's suppose, essay as well, they will be deciding the overall rank that you get. Because in GS, on an average, everybody ends up securing similar amount of marks, plus minus 5, right? Or if you have prepared very well, plus minus 10. There are 3 papers which create a greater difference: essay, optional, and ethics. So GS paper 4 also you can count in that particular case. Now, I have been preparing for the prelims examination. Now, how do I prepare the GS for the mains examination? So the only difference in between the prelims and the mains is, if you have prepared well in terms of the concept, the conceptual depth needs to be there. Conceptual clarity needs to be there. Okay. For example, in prelims, UPSC might ask you a question. I will give you the example of, let's suppose, geography. In prelims, UPSC had asked a question that which of these are evidences of continental drift theory? A simple question. The same topic in the mains examination can be framed: how did continental drift theory result into the theory of plate tectonics? For that, you need a deeper understanding. In prelims, you might get a question about which of these ocean currents are warm or cold. In the mains, what are the factors associated with the formation of the ocean currents? So that is why conceptual clarity is important. Along with that, updating the data pointers, that is also very, very important. For example, associated when we talk about, let's suppose, the economy paper. Now, in terms of economy, you have the various different data pointers, the various different reports, etc., which are vital. So that needs to be incorporated in the answer. Without that, your answer will be absolutely incomplete. That is why UPSC will give you at least 1 marks extra if you have incorporated, let's suppose, the female labor force participation as per the PLFS survey. Or let's suppose, in the case of GS paper 2, if we are aware about the judges to the population ratio as presented by the Law Commission and as is prevalent in India. Let's suppose we are aware about the case of the doctor to patient ratio or the doctor to population ratio, what is the WHO recommended standard, what is India's case. So that is where the data pointers, they enrich your answer, and they will always end up giving you greater amount of marks also. So this is also very, very vital. Now, the process of preparation for the mains is simple and threefold. First of all, you have to work on your content. Content is the king. Remember that. Content will always fetch you marks. If you are chasing just the facts, never will you clear the examination. Then start preparing for SSC and the lower grade exam. Content is the main thing. Then, once you have developed the content for any particular topic, you need to be able to present it. And that we will discuss very shortly in terms of how to write answers. And then, once you have done both of these, then you have to practice. And that is where the test comes in. Now, practice can be done in two ways. One is the case of the PYQ practice, practice through the PYQs, and then you have the test series, the various different test series. They are also very, very vital. So, what is the role of PYQ, by the way, here? After all, the question which was asked earlier, why should I read it now? I will show you a pattern. But before that, an important part of the content is the development of your own notes. Not the notes that you download, not the PDF of the videos that you are able to download. Your own notes, not the notes of the toppers from somewhere that you are able to recreate. No, your own notes. And when we say your own notes, these notes should be topic based notes. What do I mean by that? For example, let's suppose when we talk about the case of GS paper 1. Now, in GS paper 1, you have the subjects like history, right? Geography, society, all of them. Now, if I take the case of geography, now in geography, if I am reading, let's suppose, about the case of plate tectonics theory, plate tectonics, I should have my own notes about everything included in plate tectonics, about the case, the role of the mantle currents, the case of the convection currents, the supporting theories associated by Arthur Holmes, the sea floor spreading theory, the case of the plate divergence, plate convergence, the example of these, all of them within 1 to 2 pages. Similarly, if I talk about, let's suppose, Indian monsoon, Indian climate, I should have my own notes associated with that. Like that, you should have your own topic based notes. Then, let's suppose in GS paper 2. In GS paper 2, you have polity, you basically have the case of IR, governance, right? All of these are there. Now, in the case of polity, one of the major discussion points for the past few years have been the judicial reforms, that how the judicial pendency has been very, very high, and that is where India needs to work upon. So there you should have one concise notes associated, let's suppose, with the collegium system, right? Collegium system, you should have the precise notes within that collegium system about the NJAC. You should have within that the factoids associated with that, right? For example, the proportion of vacancy which is present, almost 30% vacancy is present at the district level, right? So that is something you should have. Then, along with that, you should have the case of the various different data pointers presented by the Law Commission reports, Law Commission. So, all of that you prepare point wise. Okay. For example, with IR. Now, in IR, you have various different groupings. Not all the groupings are relevant for the mains, but some of them are relevant. Let's suppose Quad is in news. So, what are the aspects associated with Quad? The ministerial meet, the summit meet, the kind of maritime surveillance, real time monitoring, the dark traffic which happens, the dark shipping which happens. Then you have the associated pacts between India, Australia, Japan, and US regarding critical minerals. All those should be committed in one place. When did it come into existence? Similarly, for BRICS, you should have another one. G20, you should have another one. What does it do? It not only consolidates the entire plethora of materials that you are confronted with, it helps you consolidate it, it helps you revise it very quickly, and it allows you to write an answer even if it is for 15 marks, 12.5 marks, 10 marks. Any of the requirement of the question, you are able to substantiate it with the answer. In terms of similarly economy, monetary policy committee, environment, in the case of river pollution, groundwater pollution, air pollution, you should have your own notes, and that should be dominated by the whatever factual portions and reports are required, so that your answer is able to fetch just target 1 marks extra than your competition. How will I get 1 marks more than my competition? And this note making, believe it or not, for those of us who are appearing for the examination next year, will help you revise immensely fast and in a very effective manner for the prelims examination as well. Now, before we move ahead, for the basic foundation laying and the concept laying, from 1st of June, we are coming up with the Elevate batch, which will have 2 sessions a day, so that you attack the basics, you understand the concepts in as detailed manner as required for civil services. From 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., Abhishek Mishra sir will be taking the history classes. Modern history will be conducted, and from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m., you will have the geography sessions where we will be covering the portion of Indian geography from the basics of physiography to the case associated with the river systems and so on. Everything will be covered here. Now, the entire thing is available at a very lucrative price of 16,999, and that offer exists with an extension of 12 months, available only till 31st of May. Do use the code IES English and do ensure that whenever you are availing the offer, you get the lowest possible price. Now, having said that, when we talk about the case of the notes, when we talk about the answer writing, there's a greater importance which UPSC also provides to the PYQs. Now, why and how do we use the PYQs? Do we use the PYQs to rectify the answer so that the same question, if it will be asked, I will simply copy paste it? No. PYQs give you the keywords around which UPSC is interested, and also keywords, or basically the case of themes around which UPSC will always ask you a question. So, based on these themes, is how you prepare your own notes. Because please keep in mind, at the time of the mains examination, you have just 3 hours. Per answer, you have around 7 minutes. 7 to 8 minutes if you want to revise as well, if you want to eliminate some of the errors, grammatical issues, etc. Now, 7 minutes per answer means 1 minute is all that you have to think about what to write. Now, within that, you have a limitation. You won't always be able to come up with all the ideas within that 1 minute. So, always better if you have some pre prepared mind map or a kind of a framework around which your answer will be roving around. So, that is why PYQs provide you with that kind of a guidance. If we take a look at the PYQs, for example, take a look at the PYQs for geography. Now, what are the forces that influence ocean currents? Now, this was a 15-marker question which was asked. The keyword or the theme is ocean currents, the forces that influence the ocean currents. Now, another year it was asked, explain the factors responsible for the origin of the ocean currents. Aren't both of them one and the same? They are. So that is why, both of them being the same area, if you have an idea about the forces of ocean currents, you will easily be able to come to the correct answer. Now, another example I'll give you. Now, these are the set of 4 PYQs from 4 different years, right? Explain the formation of thousands of islands in Indonesian and Philippine archipelago. Now, on the face of it, all that you have to talk in this is the case of the plate tectonics, plate tectonic theory, and you have to talk about ocean convergence. That is the basic theme around it. Now, discuss the geophysical characteristic of the circum-Pacific zone, dealing with the same theme. Then, why are the world's fold mountain systems located along the margins of the continent? The same theme, plate tectonic theory. Now, the question which was asked in 2025, discuss how the changes in shapes and size of the continents and ocean basins of the planet take place due to the tectonic movement of the crustal masses. So, around the same theme, UPSC has been repeating the question. Now, as a candidate, it will be a grave mistake on our part if we ignore this trend. That is the difference between the toppers and the people who keep on repeating the mains examination. The toppers catch this trend very quickly and then they work towards improvement, whereas the others, they simply keep on repeating this. So that is why catch the themes and prepare your own notes based on these themes for each and every subject. Okay. Now, very important part is you have to start the answer writing. Many of the candidates have the mindset that first let me prepare the content. There will be one fine day when all the content is covered, then I will start to write answers. No, that is not how it goes. Answer writing is a skill, is an art which develops slowly. It won't be the case that the first answer that you write will be as good as the answer copy of a topper. Many of us do this mistake also. We write an answer, we match it with the topper's copy, we feel that our answer is inadequate, we get demotivated, and we put it down. No. When we talk about answer writing, practice is very, very important. On a day to day basis, you have to keep on writing. After only around 20 answers, do you start learning where to improve the content. After around 50 answers, you start to understand how to improve the presentation. Then you work on the time management. So it is a slow process. Now, let's suppose I have studied the content. I do not know how to write the answer. I know that in an answer, there has to be an intro, there has to be a body, and there has to be a conclusion. Okay. But I don't know how to frame it. So, what do I do? Please understand this. Intro always has to follow directly from the question. Whatever is the demand of the question, some part of it has to be addressed directly in the intro. The body portion should have the rest of it. Now, the details of it we will be talking about when we have the live answer writing sessions. You will get all the details as well, right? We will show you in the sessions as well that how to create answers. We will have the live evaluation as well. So you can get a guidance there. But how to write an answer, what to write within an answer is one of the important questions that the candidates have. Here, please understand the basic fundamental which can be followed is, let's suppose I know something about the G20 or the role of India in the global geopolitics. I have to write an answer about it. Always presume that you are explaining it to one of your friends who has no clue, or one of your siblings, brother or sister, who has no clue about the topic. How would you explain that topic? For example, let's suppose I have to write an answer about plate tectonics and I have to create an entire answer of 15 marks. If I have to explain it to my younger brother or younger sister, I won't start by writing that there are convective currents within the mantle which drives these plates away or together. They will ask me, what is mantle? What is the case of the plates? So how should I start? That lithosphere, which includes the portion of the crust plus solid upper mantle, that is divided into various different parts across the planet. They are known as plates. These plates, they tend to move with respect to each other, moving above the asthenosphere, which is a semi-molten layer underneath the lithosphere, due to the heat which drives the convection currents. That ends up moving these plates and which results in the formation of different land masses, seismicity, volcanicity, and other geophysical phenomena. If you follow this approach, you will also get to know where to insert diagrams, where to insert flowcharts, and so on. So your answer will always end up becoming much more representative. So that is the formula, or that is the approach that is very much required. Begin the answer writing. First answer will not be good, but slowly and steadily you will capture it. Now, very important right now to invest in the optional subject as well. For those of us who are appearing for the examination, let's suppose in 2026, every day you have to invest at least 4 hours in the optional. For those of us who are appearing for the examination 2027 and beyond, every day at least 2 hours. Why 4 hours in this case? Because optional is a deciding factor, rank decider. If you secure somewhere around 250 or less in optional, you are out of the race. And many of the times I've seen the candidates, they ponder a lot about, should I take anthropology? Should I take geography? Should I take history? Should I take PubAd? Should I take PSIR? They invest almost 5 to 6 months only deciding this. Why? Because from the mindset of the candidate, what do they want? Optional should be very easy, at the same time should be very scoring, isn't it? That the paper should be very easy also. I shouldn't have to invest a lot, and very scoring as well. Now think about it. Let's suppose there is an optional which is very easy and very scoring. 5,000 people will take that optional. Just giving an example. Now, all of them will find the same case. Now, what is to say that you will trump them all and you will get better marks in that? Remember one thing, regardless of the optional that you choose, at least 5 to 6 months of rigorous study has to be done only for the optional paper. 5 to 6 months, including the answer writing. And also remember, whether it is very easy or whether it is very difficult, you have to ensure that you are in the top 20, 15 to 20 rankers of that optional across the country. Only then will you get a service of your choice. Only then will you have your name figured out in the merit list. If you are 150th in that optional, forget about clearing civil services. No. So don't spend a lot of time thinking about, no, PSIR was easier, that topper was from anthropology, that topper had said that PubAd was easier. No. Be the topper of your optional. With that mindset, take a look at the notification, whichever syllabus and the PYQ appears to be doable, take that optional and start the study. And also remember, for the optional, the biggest test that you have is your PYQ. PYQ is very important because in optional, the PYQs, they are repeated again and again and again. So optional answer writing has to be done from day one with the help of the PYQs. And that is how you improve your answer writing for the GS as well, for the optional as well, and you ensure timely preparation. Now for the essay paper. What should I study for essay? Is there a separate book for essay? No. Essay paper doesn't have a separate book. Essay paper is where you need to have an idea about all the GS subjects. Better you are in all the GS subjects, finer you are in the essay writing. And you need to have a good command over the writing skills. So you won't be able to trump essay paper from day one. First, focus on the GS subject completion. All those of you who are appearing for the examination this year, frame a schedule that first you start your revision with GS paper 1 because that is something you would have read in your prelims examination as well. Then focus on GS paper 4, very scoring as well. Then GS paper 2 and 3. After that, after GS paper 2, then start writing essay because then you have gained enough perspective. And in the essay, again, I will have a separate session, a marathon session about how to write essay on this channel itself. But within this essay, very important to analyze the PYQs, post 2019. Why? Because it is after 2019 where UPSC has paid significantly greater attention to the philosophical or the abstract essay topics. And that is going to be where you extract the keywords. For example, all the questions revolve around certain keywords. Wisdom finds truth. Truth always triumphs. Truth knows no boundaries. All of this is revolving around the term truth. Values are not what humanity is, but what humanity ought to be. Two keywords, values and humanity. So that is where you have to extract these keywords and then go for the brainstorming about how you can vertically and horizontally expand those, add perspectives in that. One easy way to think about it, for those of you appearing for the examination this year, think about addition of perspectives just by the syllabus coverage from GS paper 1 to GS paper 4. What do I mean by that? GS paper 1, history. For this topic, can I get a historical connotation? Then geography. For this particular topic, is there any geographical angle I can put into it? Then GS paper 2, let's suppose. Is there any political governance based angle? That is how you add the vertical expansion. As I told you, we will have a separate essay writing sessions within the next few days so that you can understand the nuance of essay writing as well. But those of you who are appearing for the examination this year, you have to ensure that every 15 days you write at least one essay based upon the PYQ. For those of you appearing for the examination next year and beyond, every month brainstorm at least 2 to 3 of these essay PYQs, understand what you could have written, what are the examples you could have presented. Now, very important in this case is the framing of a schedule, a time bound schedule that you are going to follow. Now, here I will have the distinction of those of you appearing for 2026, those of you appearing for 2027 beyond. For those of you appearing for 2026, right now the classification should be 4 hours for GS, 4 hours for optional. Okay? Now, within this, you should also have a separate 1 hour session for answer writing. Answer writing. In this, again, 1 hour session for answer writing. You might think that this is a very long time, 10 hours. It is required. Let me be very, very blunt. You are not there in the mains examination to compete that I have emptied these many pens or these many refills. If you want to clear the mains examination, put this amount of time. The more you sweat in practice, the sweeter is the time of the actual game. So sweat right now. And in the weekends, please ensure that at least 3 test papers, the complete test paper, is addressed. And that is where the weekends are going to be dedicated to the GS test. Okay, the test series, whatever you take. For those of you appearing for 2027 and beyond, now here I would say right now, you have to keep in mind that you are completing the targeted mains preparation by the month of October or November. So every day, at least 3 hours GS, at least 2 hours optional. And then, now 5 hours is doable. Now, for those of you who are appearing for the examination next year, please also ensure that 1 hour is at least there for your current affairs. Weekends will be for both objective and the subjective test, plus revision of what you have done during the entirety of the week. Frame the schedule accordingly and dedicate that time. If you want to finish the syllabus in a timely manner, ensure that 2027 is your last attempt. This is the time you have to devote. Otherwise, if you are here for a 5-year program, you are here for the case that let's see who gets older first, UPSC or me, then you can devote half an hour, 1 hour based upon your leisure time. But otherwise, please be this targeted in terms of your approach. Now, the importance of the test series, vitally important. Test series are there to build your mind to muscle memory. That whether you are able to achieve that targeted time of 7 minutes of answer writing or not, that has to be achieved under any circumstance. At max 9 minutes. Okay. And you have to get into the habit of answering 20 questions, not just one answer writing I have done in 25 minutes. I am satisfied. No. That is how you have to approach the test series. Now, those of you appearing for the case of 2026, at least four complete papers, GS paper, every week is required. For those of you appearing for 2027 and beyond, for you, slight leisure, let's suppose one paper per week. Because you have to practice the objective test as well. Do this and ensure you are mentally and physically prepared to clear the examination. So that, let's suppose next year the prelims gets easier, or somehow my preparation is so good enough that I clear the prelims, I'm not dependent on another preparation or in a panic mode for the mains exam. I should be confident that I will secure a high double digit or a kind of a single digit rank. After all, we are not here just to have our name in the participation list. We are here to make a difference. As candidates, we are here to clear the exam. And for that, these are some of the things that you can follow. Overall, in a nutshell, if I have to summarize it, work on your content, develop the topic based notes. Now, which notes, which topics, based upon the PYQ, I will get those themes. Then I will write answers. I will write answers for the optional also. Revision I will do. And then I will accordingly frame schedule and the test series as I move ahead. I hope that we are able to implement it. These are the suggestions, and I will also be very honest. 99.9% of the people won't be able to follow this. At the end of the day, they will say that provide guidance so that I can clear it again. No. Follow this. Discipline is the core trait which separates the rankers from the aspirants. Be disciplined in your approach from today, and let's see which force of nature is able to stop you. Remember this line: if you are dedicated enough, it is never a matter of if you clear the exam, it is a matter of when you will clear the exam, and better today than tomorrow. If you have liked the content, put that in the comment section below. Any queries that you have, put that in the comment section. And don't forget to click on the like, share, and the subscribe button. Till we meet again, take care. Goodbye. Thank you.